I feel like at this point we should just have some sort of sound effect, like a war type siren, to let you know a tier list is coming. Because that's exactly what we're doing today. We're doing a tier list. I'm not even going to beat around the bush and give you some fancy intro. It's the international break. Give me some peace. We just want conversation. And we're doing it through a tier list. Hello again, nice to see you. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. It's good to be back with you guys after a short wee break. And today, hopefully, we're starting to get ourselves back into the flow of daily content on the channel. So if you want to know everything that's going on in the world of Celtic, please make sure to hit those buttons below. Make sure your notifications are on. Today, we're going to have a conversation about squad depth, because it seems recently that seems to be a lot of the conversation among Celtic supporters. Is there enough squad depth at Celtic? Injuries have highlighted some weaknesses, and after a defeat to Rangers, we're talking about the summer already. So bear with me today, we're going to try and cover all of that. So as I've already mentioned, one of the big talking points online amongst Celtic fans recently has been to do with squad depth. People debating whether or not this Celtic squad has enough depth in certain areas, is good enough players when it gets down the pecking order, and what we need to do in the summer transfer window. Now, this wasn't a conversation I was expecting to have quite this early. I thought we'd maybe wait until closer to the end, but that loss to Rangers last weekend really has Celtic fans talking, and people want to know where Brendan Rodgers will spend money in the summer. So today, we're going to evaluate the Celtic squad. We're going to have a look at who will potentially still be here and who just isn't good enough. It was basically this exact point last year that we had this keep, own, sell video where I looked at the Celtic squad in its entirety and we decided who is good enough to stay at Celtic and who should have moved on. We done pretty well. We basically aced it in that video. But this year I think is a little more difficult because most players are pretty stick on. We know who should be staying. We should know who's going. But last year, it was pretty safe to assume a couple of the players who could have left. We all pretty much accepted Matt O'Reilly was moving on, for example. Whereas this summer, things aren't as clear cut. So we're going to talk about that today. And then we're going to look at what it would mean for the state of the Celtic squad if we're bang on the money once more. Because, yeah, when you really dig down deep, there's a lot of work to be done. So we have whipped out the handy tier list as always, and we're going to go through every Celtic player who will be here in the summer once the season is over. So that includes players out on loan right now who are set to return to Celtic, such as Luis Palma, Kwon, Marco Tilio, and we're going to decide whether Celtic should keep them, maybe loan them out for development, or just sell them. So, yeah, I think we can fly through this, but it's more the wider discussion at the end that we're here for. Let's just start with all three goalkeepers. All three will be kept, in my opinion. Now, this video I'm going to try my best to weigh up what I think will happen and what I would like to see happen, but with all three of these keepers, I think the case is that they will all stay, and they should stay. Some people might make the case that Sinsalo could get loaned out to get some game time, but I really don't think that one of the priorities for Celtic this summer is to arse about with goalkeepers. It's about other areas in the squad, and Vinny Sinsalo has been brought in knowing exactly what his role is, and I don't think he has an issue with that, hence the reason he signed the contract. Kasper Schmeichel has signed on for one more year. He will be Celtic's number one for one more year, and then there will maybe be a bigger discussion about Vinny Sinsalo, but right now all three keepers, they're going to stay. Scott Bain ticks a box when it comes to European registration quotas. Kasper Schmeichel is still fantastic, and Vinny Sinsalo is a solid backup. So when it comes to keepers, it's a pretty simple one. As I said, most players are pretty simple, straightforward, don't have to have much of a discussion over Austin Trusty being one of those players. Celtic will keep him. Celtic should keep him. I know he's still hot or cold from time to time, and some people still hold him back, praising him, but I like him. I think he's solid, and whether or not he's still the first choice partner for Cameron Carter-Vickers next season, we yet to see that through the summer transfer window, but he's still going to stay. He's going to be a Celtic player next season. Now, one of the players we know that teams are looking at down south in Europe as well is Alistair Johnston. He's stated he's in no rush to leave Celtic. I hope that is the case. We've got to keep him. And let's just get one thing crystal clear. He played badly against Rangers, of course he did. But some of the things I've seen online about maybe getting rid of him because of one bad game is absolutely, number one, hilarious, but number two, ridiculous. Alistair Johnston is fantastic. He would be solid to replace. I tell you that right now. We're lucky we have him. So, just one bad game. It happens to everybody in football. Now, this is somebody who's sparked a bit of discussion online about his Celtic future. Mike Nawrocki, a player who I have absolutely no issue or problem with, a player who I quite frankly wish we've seen more of since he signed for the club, and somebody who, until the day I die, will remain a huge question mark or mystery to me as to what happened with his Celtic career. On that note, I think Celtic will sell him, and I think Celtic should sell him, and one decent derby performance isn't going to change that for me. Now, I know folk are going, no, we should give him more chances now. It's just not going to happen, and I'm trying to look at this realistically. We need to get players off of the wage bill. We need to open up spaces for other players in the registration slots. Mike Nawrocki should just move on. It's clear as day. And I stand with a lot of you in saying that he played well in the derby, and I would love to see him more. I just don't think it's going to happen. Celtic will probably sell him, and probably should sell him. Will we recoup the money we spent on him? Probably not. But if he's not going to play, why is he here? Greg Taylor, we still don't know what's happening with him. We don't know if he'll be a Celtic player or not. I'm just going to shove him into the sell category because I'm pretty sure he's off. If he was staying, we'd know by now. There would be no reason to hold it out this long without signing a contract. I think he clearly wants away. I think he'll be away. And that's one area of the squad we're going to have to talk about because we don't know what's happening with Jeffrey Schlupp. We don't really know what's happening with Greg Taylor, but it leaves a big question mark as to the depth behind Kieran Tierney when he joins. I think Celtic should keep Scales. That's a no-brainer. I don't see why we should sell him or contemplate selling him. It's good to have strength and numbers in the centre-back department. I still think Celtic could improve in the centre-back department, but I don't think that means we should get rid of Scales. The only shame is that he doesn't meet any sort of quotas for homegrown or club-grown players. Which might become a bit of an issue when we try to keep signing players. But listen, Liam Scales is a solid backup to have. We all know that. And for now, unless we really need to move him on, I don't see why we shouldn't keep him. Let's go through the next two very, very quickly because they are arguably the two most important players in this squad. By the way, the order of these players doesn't mean anything, but I'm just going to put them at the top of the pile because they're two of the most important players in the team. Cameron Carter-Vickers, Arnott Engels. We should be trying to keep them. I think we will keep them despite a little bit of interest being reported on Cameron Carter-Vickers. I hope we manage to keep a hold of him. Similar to Alistair Johnston, it would just be impossible to replace him. I don't think we'll find a centre-back as good as him if he leaves. So we should be giving him money. We should be giving him a better deal just to keep him around at the club, in my opinion. And Arnott Engels has only just signed. He's still very much in his early stages of being a Celtic player. I think some people forget that he is only 21, 22 years old as well. Great player. Love him to bits. Only going to get better. These are obviously two pivotal parts of the current Celtic starting 11, let alone Celtic squad. I think this will finally be the summer we see the back of Stephen Welsh, and it should be the summer that we see the back of Stephen Welsh. Now, obviously, the big question will get raised is, well, he's a club-trained player, it helps the quota, yada, yada, yada. We can't just keep him here forever for the sake of that quota. He's out on loan right now to Belgium at Mechelen. I'm not entirely sure how well he's doing, but I think that's the first sign to suggest that he will finally leave the club. And I think he should for the sake of his own career. I'm not going to have this same conversation I feel like I've had every transfer window for the last 2 seasons. It's a shock to me that he's even still on the books. And surely when he's back, that's it. And I mean that with all niceness and respect, but I'm just genuinely stunned that he's still at the club. Another couple that we could get done very quickly, McCowan and McGregor. I mean, McGregor's the captain. Don't even need to talk about him. Of course, he'll be staying at Celtic this summer. Luke McCowan has been a good wee signing for us. Good depth in the centre mid area because of him. Obviously, homegrown as well. Obviously, not a world-class player by any stretch, and people getting really on his back after his last derby appearance, but I really like the lad, and he's good to have around the squad. So these are two players that will still be here in the centre of the park, and I don't think there's much discussion surrounding them. I wonder if there'll be discussion around this man though, Gustav Lagerbielke, who I think you could argue maybe because of how well he's played in Holland, he could be given another chance at Celtic, but I think it would be a waste of an argument, if I'm telling the truth. I think Celtic will sell him. By all accounts, it seems to be the case that he will go anyway. There's already stories floating around in the mainstream media that we're looking to do that this summer and to capitalise on his form in Holland this season. Whether or not that's back to Twente, where he is right now, or to another Dutch side, we don't know. But the reports are that we're going to make all the money back that we spent on him, which is great business from Celtic if we do so, because he's barely kicked a ball here. Another player whose Celtic career is a bit of a mystery as to what happened. I don't quite understand it all, but yeah, time to move him on. Different to Stephen Welsh, I actually think Ralston will stay for now until we have another right back behind Alistair Johnston, which should be, in my opinion, one of the things we're looking at for this summer window. I think Celtic will still look to keep him. I sound like a broken record, but club trained, nation trained, yada yada. I think that he'll stay. Rio Hatate, I actually do think there's a chance we might sell him in this summer window, to be quite honest. And I think a lot of people will drag him into this sell category instantly. But I'm going to keep him in keep just now, because without knowing who the replacement is and who we're lining up, I don't think that we should be going, right, sell just yet, until we know that there's somebody we're looking for. He's different to Matt O'Reilly. This time last year, Matt O'Reilly, we just knew he was off. He was playing far too well. We knew that bids would be coming in left, right and centre for him. We already started hearing the rumours of clubs ready to bid for him. Whereas Hatate, not quite the same. It's been a bit hot and cold recently. Our club's going to be wanting to spend on him right now. We need to wait and see. So I think he's a player that Celtic will aim to keep at this moment in time. Lewis Powell, my God almighty. There's still a chance that he can go to this club he's on loan at on a permanent basis, but if he comes back to this club, I expect to see him go very, very quickly. Jamesy Forrest, he's signed a 1-year extension. I think that next year could be his last with Celtic. Not down to anything about him on a quality level or anything personal here. I just think that actually might be him winding things up. Keep for now. Paulo Bernardo, absolutely 100% keep. Missed him as of late. He's been one of the huge misses in this Celtic squad. People dying to see him back, and next season could be huge for us. Which brings us on to Jeffrey Schlupp, who is in the same situation as Adam Ida and Paulo Bernardo were this time last year. A lone player who I think a lot of Celtic players would like to see kept permanently. He's available on a free transfer this summer. I don't know if Celtic have started any negotiations to bring him in permanently, but let's make one thing clear. They should be. Jeffrey Schlupp for me is a big, big keep. I think he would be a fantastic option behind Kieran Tierney, and we should be trying to get that in the works already, if we're not. So hopefully he's a keep, but of course there's no guarantee he'll be here. It's still an if. It's still a big if. I think the next 4 can be done in one here. Yang will definitely be keeping him. I think if it wasn't for his recent burst of form, we could maybe argue that we could have loaned him out, but he's been playing well. He's a good option for Celtic now. Definitely a keep for most folk. Adam Ida, yes, still very much jury is out on him. A lot of people not sure if he's good enough at the minute, but we've just spent 9 million on him last summer. He will be a keep, no matter your opinion on him. Nicholas Kuhn, once again, similar to Hatate, we don't know if clubs will bid for him or not. He's a very good player, but we should be aiming to keep. And Dyson Maeda, we should be presenting a double barrel shotgun to the face of anybody who tries to bid for him. I'll leave it at that. And let me just slip Jota in there very, very quickly. I may as well. Somebody who's just returned to the club, somebody who's one of the best players at the club, and somebody who, once again, anybody dares bids, double barrel shotgun to the face. Right, so the last 3, I think we can do 2 of them especially quickly here. Marco Tilio, who I'm not even going to waste my time. No, we're moving past it. Don't even try. Well, maybe no maybes, nothing. And Kwon, listen, I know there's a meme out there about Kwon. Oh, give him a chance, and Kwon this, Kwon that. Kwonamania is running wild. I don't know what the memes are, but I know that there's a wee portion of the fans who really want to see him play at Celtic. He started 12 games for Hibs this season. If you're starting 12 games at Hibs, I'm sorry, you're not going to make it at Celtic. So, I think Kwon's going to be a hard sell when he's back at the club. He's not a young lad. He's still young, of course he is. He's younger than me, for goodness sake, but he's just turned 24. Like, he's not 19, he's not 20 years of age. I think the ceiling is pretty clear. And you're kidding yourself on if you think he's got a future at Celtic. Which leaves us with Johnny Kenny, who's a bit different in my opinion. I'm going to put him in loan for now. I can't believe it. Only one player who I think we could justify maybe loaning out next season. But he's not had enough of a chance at Celtic. We don't know quite yet what his level is because we just haven't seen enough of him. I would give him one more loan move and see where it goes from there. Try and loan him out maybe even in Scotland rather than the League of Ireland, or just try and move him up a level. But I don't want to see him in any rush to see him go permanently because I feel like I've not had a chance to properly judge him yet, so I'm going to put him in the loan category. Which leaves us with this, finishing up the video. And I know what you're all thinking, well Ryan, that was pretty obvious, thanks for that. You've wasted 15 minutes of our time to really point out what we already knew. But what the underlying facts about this is here is that Celtic have 20 players and could have even less than 20 players, in my opinion, going into next season. Because these ones shouldn't be at Celtic next season. They shouldn't be. For different circumstances and different reasons, they shouldn't be at Celtic. It leaves us with a squad, a maximum squad size of 20. We are really light on numbers. We are really thin in different areas of the park. And that's something that really needs to be thought about. And needs to be thought about sooner rather than later. We can't be going into another window with business to do at the last minute. How many windows in a row now have Celtic waited to the last minute to do business? We can't do that. It's obvious where we need players right now. So don't let the manager down. Back him and add to this very good group of players, by the way. 20 good players here. But we need more. I'll put it on a squad map for you so it's a little bit easier to understand where we're needing players. But like, look behind Adam Ida, for example. We have no out and out recognised striker. I know you might be saying, oh, Maida's one now, but he's still a left winger. He was brought into Celtic as a left winger. He's played for Celtic as a left winger. We need more strikers. You look at the left wing. Beyond Maida, there's really not much quality there. You look across the back line, there is definitely areas. God, we don't even know if Jeffrey Schlupp's a big question mark. So this is a squad that when a couple of players get injured, we notice the difference. You notice the difference, Callum McGregor dropping out, that CDM role, that defensive midfielder role. We can't just be relying on Callum McGregor, guys. We can't be doing it. So that's 20 players there. Of course, there's a big question you've got to ask about registration and homegrown players and whatever, but ultimately the aim should be to add to that group to assure us with depth and numbers, because right now there's a reason it's been spoke about so heavily online. So let me know your opinions in the comments below. This is kind of part one of what will be a few months of talking about strategic planning for this transfer window. This is just a kickstarter of this wee video, and I know that it's a wee bit obvious, a wee bit on the nose, but it's just something that needs to kickstart the conversation for a few months of really important work at Celtic. So let me know your thoughts below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.